dank episode of SydeBoob yet.
Can we just explain what's going on? Yeah.
Yes, please. My goodness gracious.
So we had so many troubles trying to get into this stream. For me, it's 3 a.m. Well, near enough. We were supposed to be starting at 2:30. So basically, both of us can only get the video on one device, but then the audio will only work the video will only work on our mobile phones, but the audio works on our other devices. So yeah, that's
There
the
might be
situation we're at.
a small feedback loop. And Muddy has a mobile camera. So if you see him kind of action cam style, disregard.
Look and do like good little takes now and get all angry and stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I might just keep this.
That's your new platform going forward.
Yeah, just put data on my phone, just go for a walk on the street.
Oh, but we're here. We made it. We're live. Disaster averted, I guess, but we're good.
Yeah.
Missed last week because of some shenanigans. Sorry about that. Unseen circumstances.
You don't have to apologize like blame Milton. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely Milton's fault.
Yeah. Like, do you know what though? Like, it was weird. Like, that was my first time, like, kind of having a friend in an area like that. So it was a bit like, basically every morning on Twitter, I was checking your Twitter and thinking, oh, if he's tweeted, he's all right, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Right. No, it was wild because, like, it was a very strong hurricane and it literally came right over us. So it was just unfortunate, especially for my sister because she lives right near the coast, like right where it made landfall. So her roof was ripped off. Her house was flooded. She lost pretty much everything she owns. So she's getting it back together, but you know it's going to be a slow process.
Yeah, and I'd like to say, like, kind of on your behalf, because I don't think you'd say it, but if anyone would like to donate and help his sister out, feel free. You can donate to her Syde's PayPal, or I think she's got a Cash App as well that I've seen, so we can get the right links up for you. If you want to donate, just let us know. It doesn't have to be much.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't try to put anybody out, but it is, she did lose pretty much everything, so yeah. She went 7 days without electricity, so that's rough.
That is crazy to think. Like, in this modern day and age, that's so, like, just doesn't seem right, you know what I mean? Like, especially in a first world country. And I know it's not the country's fault, it's just a weather thing, but it's just crazy, isn't it?
All right, so Marley, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, I told you Marley's homeschooled, so he does like these cool projects and stuff.
Hi, Marley.
He made a homemade pencil sharpener.
Oh, that's cool.
So that was part of his engineering thing. It has a motor on the bottom. It's like an electric pencil sharpener. They just made it.
That's really cool.
He sharpened 2 pencils.
Shout out to homeschool because in public school he wouldn't be getting that kind of stuff. So
I know, that is really cool. Like, especially at his age to be doing that as well. That's pretty awesome. I don't know what the public schools are like out there.
Sharpen the green one.
Sharpen the green one. He forgot. I gotta sharpen the green one. I'm sorry.
Go on.
We gotta put it straight down. So if it's not all the way through, try to wiggle it until it's straight. Then into the blade, start hold it very.
That's awesome.
I'm trying to get it on camera and sharpen it at the same time. It's not quite.
I love how he's put an actual sharpener up there as well.
With
my school.
And then
you
have a sharpened pencil. Let's try again.
That's so cool, Marley.
Go ahead and sharpen it for me.
You should be proud of yourself for that, mate. That's really good.
He said, "Really good job. You should be proud of yourself." He just smiled. I mean, that's what he does. But yeah, that's awesome.
That's awesome, man. That is really awesome.
Yeah, he's proud of it.
How do you get on to like deciding little subjects like that?
It's kind of like what he's interested in, like engineering and like just being crafty and things like that. and then we just try to make sure he understands like it's fun and stuff to build it, but then learning the reason why or how it works and stuff like that, it's more important. Very cool.
Well done.
Fully sharpened pencil. There you go.
That's perfect.
Great job.
But yeah, so at my school, I totally understand why you're homeschooling, because in my classrooms there was like 30 to 50 kids. So it was like no one could get any individual kind of help, And I've always believed that if you can find the things that kids are interested in instead of trying to teach them everything all at once, then they'll excel in that thing that they're interested in. And you know what I mean? And then by that thing, they'll learn that through hard work and all that stuff, you can achieve things. Whereas throwing everything at once, I always think it's a bit like counterproductive.
It's overwhelming. Yeah, it's a little overwhelming at times. So
because 1 minute you're doing Shakespeare, next minute you're doing long algebra. It's weird.
Yeah. So the way, I mean, I don't want to go on the whole tangent about homeschool, but the way we have it, Alicia has it set up because she homeschools them. It's like every day is a new subject. So he doesn't do multiple subjects a day. Like that just seems so silly. It overburdens you. So he'll do his English and writing and like vocabulary one day, and the next day is math, and the next day is science, stuff like that. So that way it's always, there's a routine built in, but it's like he knows he doesn't have to cross over and remember all this crazy stuff.
And like the time as well, I don't know if you have a set time or anything like that, but like the fact that he could have a nap, like I don't know, when I was at the younger schools, you could have a nap, like you had a set nap time.
Right.
But then obviously you get to older schools, you don't. But I actually think having a nap after learning something is probably one of the best things you can do.
Right, give your brain that rest.
Well, yeah, and I've heard that it actually retains it, because while you're sleeping, you're subconsciously like going through it again. You know what I mean? So one thing I used to do when I did anything creative, I try and have a little nap.
No, it's interesting because we don't really. I mean, we have like a schedule for him to stick to as far as like he has to do a certain amount of time, but it's like it could be 1 in the afternoon, 9 o'clock in the morning. As long as he gets his stuff done before dinner time, it's not like super. You have to start at this time. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's cool, man. Like, it's mad. Like I see some of the problems my nieces have. Like especially my older one. I think she's like the same age as Marley. She's 10, and like she's like getting bullied and stuff like that. And it's bad, mate. The stuff that kids are willing to say to each other, like at that age.
Yeah,
like,
it's
she's been told to kill herself. Like she's been body shamed.
Wow.
Like
as a 10-year-old, can you imagine?
As a 10-year-old, like what's funny, is she's such a just an easygoing person. She kind of just laughs it off and doesn't. It's like she doesn't understand the seriousness yet of what's being said to her.
Right.
So we're lucky in that sense, but the fact that like there's kids out there like that, and sometimes it feels like your parents kind of encourage it a bit, like to where it's like a household thing, like they talk about or whatever, or that behaviour's like, I don't know.
It's acceptable, right? It's encouraged by being silent.
Yeah, exactly. And so I see your kid, and I think, maybe he might lack on socialising with other kids, but sometimes like the socialising aspect can be the worst thing of the school as well,
Yeah, and I think, he has cousins and stuff. We had his cousins over the other night. They stayed the night here. But, yeah, that is one of the disadvantages. He doesn't always have kids around. He's mostly around Alicia and myself. So maybe he's not as socially integrated, but we try to make it to where he's not the awkward homeschool kid.
Yeah. No, but I mean, like, it's kind of a stigma anyway, isn't it? So no matter what kid he meets, I was homeschooled for a bit, and no matter what kid you meet, people are like, "Oh, you're homeschooled." Like it's a weird thing. In my case, it was a bad thing while I was homeschooled, but people almost look at it like it should be a bad thing.
Right, I'm the complete opposite. It should be looked at as a great thing, like it's
I'm the same.
Heroic thing in a way, like the way Alicia has taken on that responsibility, and like this is awesome.
Yeah, she's putting herself before. I mean, she's putting Marley before kind of her own.
Oh, absolutely.
In a way,
100%.
But
yeah. But yeah,
Anyway, not
yeah.
to like be like boring school stuff, but
Yeah.
shall we get on to some MMA topics, or is there
Yeah.
anything
So
you want to discuss?
no, I think one of the things I wanted to discuss was actually what you worked on today, and I wanted to talk about kind of journalism in general. But if you wanted
Yeah.
to, if you don't mind, because we got like 8 people right now watching that probably haven't seen what you produced today. If you want to go over that a little bit and just kind of get into the whole overall journalism aspect of it.
This is where I like about having the 2 cameras. So I can do a quick little So basically, in the new thing I filmed, so the other night I was on Twitter and I saw Bilal, like clips of Bilal talking about Ariel. I didn't really think much of it because I know Bilal and Ariel have had a back and forth for a long time. But then what I do as a nightly routine to help settle, I actually listen to the MMA Hour, which has now changed to the Ariel Lawani Show, because it's like 4 hours long, quite quiet, yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
And then Francis was his first guest on his new show. So I start listening to it, and I start finding myself getting annoyed. So I'm like, I need to switch this off because it's not helping, But then I started thinking, and then I went on Twitter the next day, and the first thing I saw was Ariel retweeting old tweets of him supporting Bilal, basically manipulating the situation to look like he's always supported him. So that was my kind of point, was like, yeah, opinions change. Like, you might have supported him then, but ever since, like, certain events or whatever has changed your opinion on Bilal, you've done nothing but kind of low-key attack him. But Ariel's smart with it, so he will make other people do it for him through interviews and stuff like that. But then, I think I'm going on a bit too long, but I'll try.
No, you're good.
So then we cut to Ngannou, and then I'm listening to how he's interviewing Ngannou, and I already have this manipulation in my head now about him, so I'm kind of listening to it with that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I notice every question's like very loaded, like just stupidly loaded, and to the point where if Francis answers some of these questions, they could mess with his future business, like in Saudi Arabia and stuff like that, because he answered certain questions straight after being knocked out. So obviously he's not a clear man. But Ariel tries to reassert it and tries to make Francis be the one to say that stuff. So my point was, if you actually cared for him, like, I get that you're a journalist and you seek headlines and all this, but what is part of your shtick is that you care about these fighters, that you fight for them for fighter pay and all this stuff.
Right.
It's you versus Dana White in that, you're the man for them and Dana White's the company man that don't do nothing for them. Mm-hmm. But then as soon as you're seeking a headline, you're willing to like ruin Francis Ngannou's future like business opportunities. You're willing to like basically let him try and ruin his own reputation by setting him up with these questions. And like, again, like in the video, he says to Francis, I know you don't like talking about personal stuff. But before that, the first question was, oh, I'm so sorry. I want to offer condolences about your son, which on the surface, it sounds great. But I watch Ariel's show. He's already done this. He already offered him condolences on the show. He already did it privately. So it was kind of redundant to do it again. The only reason to do it again is to evoke emotion from Ngannou. And that's what the gist of my video is like Ariel trying to evoke emotions in Ngannou, trying to remind him of things that he said before to try and get him to say again. That would almost get him in trouble. But for Ariel, that doesn't matter. For Ariel, that's a headline. That's a popular tweet with Ariel credited to it, So that was the gist of it. I'm not trying to say he's a bad journalist. I think he's a great journalist. The fact that he does this stuff that I'm annoyed about makes him a good journalist. You know what I mean? Like, the fact that UFC don't let him back in makes him a good journalist. Like, everything I'm saying is a reason why he's a good journalist, but it also is a reason why he's not for the fighters. And that's what I'm trying to address. Like, you can't play both sides. Like, you can't throw a stone at a glass house and then blame it on the other guy. You know what I mean? Like, so that's kind of the gist of the video. I wasn't planning on doing it. It's just kind of spur of the moment thing.
No, yeah, I mean, I don't watch Ariel Helwani very often, very rarely for that matter. But I think whenever you are somebody as high profile as he is, you're going to do whatever you can to generate those clicks, right? That's your business. Your business is generating clicks and getting eyes on your product. So whenever he let off and said, "I'm sorry about your kid," but like that's already it already puts Francis on the back foot, right? Like,
Yeah.
and then you acknowledge later, like, "Hey, I know you don't like talking about this, but." Like you're keeping Francis backing up, and like you said, it's kind of backing him into a corner, trying to make him say something that he doesn't want to say. Like when he was talking about, when you were in Saudi Arabia, you said that you were super tired being over there. Like you were very fatigued from the travel. Like, is that going to affect you this time? Like, you know what I mean?
It was
Like,
blatant, wasn't it? Like, and then when you saw that he wasn't biting on any of that, he literally made up stuff about Renato. He
right
literally
about
was
the
like,
other fighters
yeah. Then he was like,
translating.
I believe this, and Brazilians also back me up, and that wasn't the case. Like the only reason we knew it was mistranslated because all the Brazilians come out on Twitter and was like, no, this isn't what Renato's saying. This is clickbait. This has been mistranslated. But
Right.
according to Ariel, that's exactly
That was the
what
gospel.
he was saying,
Yeah, that's
but
exactly
it
what
wasn't
happened.
in the tone that he meant it. But again, another sly way. Like if you don't know this stuff, you wouldn't notice it. Like if you're not aware of like manipulators like that and stuff like that, or maybe if you've not been one yourself or stuff like that, you wouldn't notice it. But with Ariel, like it was so obvious in that interview, and I think if I wouldn't have saw the Bilal stuff before watching that, I probably wouldn't have noticed it myself. But because I saw all that, and then I saw Ariel trying to be the good guy, trying to act like he's always supported Bilal and all this stuff, I thought, nah, it's so manipulative. And I just stopped listening to the show after it because it was winding me up and I was trying to sleep.
Yeah, I think one of the things that as we get more into this space and realize, we meet more people, and I want to talk about that here in a second, and we kind of, become more involved in the sphere, if you will.
Yeah.
I think you'll notice that it's all about manipulation, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, we talked about this 5 years ago. Anybody who's in the creator scene or anybody who's doing this, to try to get their name out there or whatever, it's all about manipulation, and it's all about what you can do for me. And I think that's exactly the same mentality Ariel Helwani has. Is like he may have started with really good intentions and being for the fighters and stuff like that, but as time kind of progressed, he's making more money, he's getting more famous, he's got to keep that brand, he's got to keep that image, and he's got to get that manipulation. It just goes more and more and more.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like the only thing that annoys me is the whole I'm the guy for the fighters.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wouldn't mind the way how he is, like if he didn't have this whole like savior complex about himself and he didn't have to. But then as well, because I'm talking about complex, this reminded me, he also has like a proper victim complex. Like as soon as anyone's like slightly negative about him or says to him, like I'll give you a good example, someone called him a weasel and he accused that person of being anti-Semitic. Because apparently, like that's something that people only call Jews. But I'm like, no, weasel's like very popular for describing like snaky people.
Yeah,
now, if I was to call you a snake, is that anti-Semitic too? So it's things like that which really wind me up. And like, so then I think that was Mohamed Mokaev he aimed at. I could be wrong, but he did aim it at a fighter. It could even be Paddy Pimblett. It was one of the two.
That's funny.
Yeah, and ironically, I was on Ariel's side. I think it was Paddy Pimblett. I was on Ariel's side with this whole Paddy Pimblett thing because Paddy basically refused to have an interview without being paid. Ariel doesn't pay no one. So I was on Ariel's side. I was like, no, Ariel's helping you. Like, if anything,
to get your name out there and whatnot.
Yeah. So, but then Paddy called him a weasel, which is very common in his vernacular as well. So I don't even think it was because of what Ariel is. And then all of a sudden he was anti-Semitic and and it is messy when you start doing stuff like that.
It is, and I think he pulled that stuff years ago whenever Dana White was calling him out. He's like, "Oh, you just don't like me. It's a personal attack against me." you know, he has that victim complex from way back in the day. So I don't think it's ever gone away.
Yeah, that's it. I've watched compilations of him like back in the day, just like antagonizing people and then being like, why are you being mean at me? It's like, mate, because it's like his whole relationship with Rampage Jackson's like the perfect example of that. It's like Rampage doesn't mess about too much, so every now and then Rampage will bully him essentially because he knows what Ariel was trying to do to him. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's the best example.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't want to limit it to just Ariel Helwani. I think it's super common in the sphere of social media and super common, especially among like talking heads who get famous.
Yeah, and I think as well, sorry to cut you off, but I wouldn't have even done it. But the thing is, Ariel's like the premier guy for covering it. You know, I think he's won the award 13 times in a row for their best MMA journalist. You know, so he's the guy that people just take his word on this sport because, you know, he's like, I don't know if you know the name, but he's like Trevor McDonald of England. Like, he was a famous newsreader. Like, if he said something, you'll be like, oh yeah, that's probably true because it's Trevor McDonald saying it, you know. So that's why it's like when Joe Rogan says something silly, it's a lot more important because of the big voice he has now in the space that he is. So obviously his words are a lot more important than mine and yours on a podcast, you know, because we've got like 8 viewers, you know, so we're not swaying as many people kind of thing.
Right. No, I mean, like I said, it's to be expected, but I mean, it works all the way down to the most common internet creator with, you know, less than 1,000 followers on Twitter who ask you to sub for their podcast, right?
Yeah.
So happens to say, hey, anytime you want me on, just send the message and I'll be on, and then kind of ghosts you. Yeah, those guys.
It's funny, like so basically some dude reached out to their side. Apparently he's an amateur fighter, and he was like, "Oh, I followed, and you know, will you follow me back and all that stuff." So he did, and then Side it's basically just said, "Do you want to come on my podcast?" And it's just ghosted us ever since. It's just ironic because the first thing I said to Side was, he's clearly not watched any of our videos because we talk about that so often. Like, you can't have not seen it, you know.
Yeah, no, and I think you kind of called it perfectly. If he comes on, it'll be funny to have that conversation and be like, you know, man, like you literally only came on to prop up your own channel, and you know, congratulations. I mean, he had John Anik on, so that's awesome. But
I wouldn't mind it if the only reason he come on was for his own channel.
Yeah,
like, obviously, if we were bigger, that would make sense. But we're not. We're smaller, so him coming on will help us. Which don't try and get a follow off us and pretend to help us, especially when you're bigger than us. You know.
I think the funniest part was he's like, "Oh, I followed your podcast," and obviously we're on Rumble. You can see everybody that follows you. I'm like, you didn't create a Rumble account to follow us, dude. Like, come on, that's just silly.
Why are you lying?
What's up?
Imagine he did.
Yeah, and I imagine. Hey, then, you know, awesome.
He's on it now, watching. Sorry, mate. Yeah, I don't want to fight.
Yeah, right. I'm not a fighter myself. I just
sure you'll beat me. But yeah, that was funny. The fact he's had John Anik on as well, and do you know what? Now we're talking about impartiality and all that. John Anik should not cover Bilal's next fight. Like, no, because his twin brother's his best friend. They do a podcast together, so it's just so like it's just not nice when the one commentator who's usually impartial is just watching the whole fight through Bilal's eyes. So please, John Anik, preserve your reputation. Do not do Bilal's next fight. Not because you're bad, but because you can't help your biasness. I think you grew up with him, so I understand it.
Wow, that's interesting. I didn't know that. That's something a cool thing. Real quick, I just want to say what's up to Entertain 45. Thanks for stopping by, brother. But I think, just to kind of wrap this up in a nice little bow, the offer's still out there. If you want to come on the podcast and kind of defend your sub for sub actions, by all means. That's how we started this channel. Yes. That's going to live through the very end of this channel, making fun of the sub for sub guys, making fun of the follow for follow, and I like your channel if you like my channel, guys.
I know, yeah.
But if you want to come on and talk MMA and talk about your career and stuff like that, then I would love to have you on.
Well, that's the sad thing. Like, I know you tried to... Lovely little bowl, by the way. I'm about to ruin it. But that's the sad thing. Like, I was so looking forward to having someone who's actually active. Like, so... Because like, I only come from Muay Thai. So I'd like to hear what it's like, maybe training, striking one day, wrestling the next day, clinching. You know, little things like that. So, yeah, kind of disappointed.
Disappointed, but to be expected, I suppose, in the circles that these people run in. So,
yeah. Hello, Entertain. By the way, I forgot to say it before.
But anyway, let's switch gears. Let's talk about some actual real MMA, not Bilal Muhammad.
But you know what? Have we done a podcast since the Aldo fight?
No, we haven't.
No, so we can, because I still had that in the notes, and I was thinking, was that from before we did one, or was that me preparing for it? And
it was supposed to be last week, but the hurricane.
Right, my notes say, first note, sack Joe Rogan.
Sack Joe Rogan, so fire Joe Rogan.
Yeah, fire Joe Rogan.
For what?
And I think second note is Wonderboy KO by Buckley, and I think that's why, because I'm a massive Wonderboy fan. Yeah, I'm the big, like, I love strikers, especially counter strikers. This is my favourite striker. I love watching Ian Gary, even though I can't stand him. I love watching him in the octagon. But it was so annoying listening to Joe Rogan acting like he was, like, Wonderboy was like Captain America, or just like this impervious fighting machine that just couldn't be touched. When I was watching the fight, and I was thinking, Buckley's going to touch him in a minute. Like, it's so obvious Buckley's going to touch him in a minute. But Joe Rogan, or I think it was DC on there with him, they just couldn't see it because they were too busy, like, going on about how great Wonderboy is. And don't get me Wonderboy, like, I would happily sit here and glaze for him too, but not in the middle of a fight. Like, I want you to describe what's happening with your expertise, because sometimes I'm not an expert.
That's one of the most annoying things, and I'll just go off on a little tangent here. But I think that's one of the most annoying things about commentators in general. It's like they obviously they have their favorites. I don't think you can, like, stop yourself from doing that. But it's like, just tell me what's going on, right? Mm-hmm. Like, Wonderboy was barely moving out of the way of Buckley's crazy shots, like inches, sometimes centimeters, millimeters. And then, like you said, you can just see if Buckley gets in a little bit closer because he's shorter, he's going to put Wonderboy's lights out. And he did. But like you said, they're just like, oh, look how he's craftily dodging. Like, he's barely moving out of the way.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
it was
just tell me straight.
The opposite with Cannonier and Pereira, where it was like, oh, Pereira's going to land any second now. And I was thinking, well, why weren't you saying this about Buckley? Like, it's exactly the same scenario, except maybe Pereira's, like, younger. Well, I don't even know if Pereira's younger than Wonderboy. Like, that's how mad it is with Pereira. But the fact that Pereira's more sprightly than Wonderboy, and more like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, that was the only difference, was that I knew Pereira could do what he could do for 5 rounds, whereas Wonderboy, I see him slow down now. He's getting older, so it was really annoying. Entertained just said, I see what you saw too. Buckley threw that finishing shot several times, kept getting closer and closer until he connected. Yeah, exactly.
He was throwing that Joe Frazier underhook, where he would duck down and come up over the top,
jumping with it as well. And like, it was almost like he just needed one extra step, and he figured that out, and that's how he got it. Like, he figured out that I'm doing this too early. I need to step in his range just that little bit more, take that little bit more risk, and then I'll jump into it. And like, you could see him working that out each round. Like we all 3 of us stayed it. So
he was getting closer, and it looked, wild and crazy, but that was his best shot because he had such a reach disadvantage. And with Wonderboy's karate style, he puts you even further back. So if you have short arms, you almost like have to do that lunging shot. So they're like, oh, he's throwing wild shots. Kind of, but it's also wild with a purpose because he's trying to figure out the distance, and he's using the only tool he has to get in, which is kind of a leap. So, I mean, it's a strategic risk, I guess you could say. And I'm not really a Buckley fan, but I appreciated that hook. That hook was beautiful.
Exactly. It's like you look at Usyk versus Fury, right? 2 world-class boxers. Like, it's almost the same height difference. Like the way how Usyk had to reach up to Fury, and he's proficient with how he punches, so it looks a lot cleaner when he's doing it. But if you compared like how Usyk was like lunging at Fury and stuff, and compared it to maybe him fighting a cruiserweight, you'd think, whoa, why does he look so reckless and all that? But it's just a height thing, really. Like, you know, to touch someone's chin, if you're small, you got to literally jump into it. So I know that from bloody experience. Like, so yeah, it's not nice being a small guy, but you know what? Sometimes living in the pocket it is nice as well at the same time because you're more used to it.
If you can get in, I mean, you kind of take away that. I mean, obviously you take away the reach advantage, but the taller, lankier fighters are used to fighting at the end of their fist, whereas you know the shorter guys are used to trying to do that dirty boxing, trying to be up a little closer, and everything's in tight. So you kind of you take away two tools that they have in their toolbox, and obviously he got cracked and just went lights out. So
yeah, it was nice to see though for Buckley because. He's done one of the best KOs I've ever seen. Like, I don't know if you've seen it, that spinning back kick KO. Like, so it's nice to see him like get a good win because I think he lost to Kevin Holland after that, and and then he had to rebuild himself. So it is nice for Buckley, and I actually want him to get that Usman fight.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting. I think
we'll see how cooked Usman is.
That's it. Like, I did have a theory that Usman has been pretty much dead for like since before the Leon fight. Like he had to walk upstairs backwards, like because his knees are that bad. So I just don't know how you can. That is how tough that guy is. Because I don't know how it looks like he can move when he's in the ring. If that's how he has to walk.
Right, and I think I compare him a lot to Tyron Woodley in my brain, like where you were elite and then you just had this sharp decline. And that's just what I see in him is he just has that sharp decline. Like he was so good and then he got head kicked and everything changed.
Yeah. It's mad. Like when you think about it, like when you look at the eras, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but how quickly the eras change in MMA or UFC. So we had like the Four Kings. I only felt like yesterday we had Ngannou, the Three Kings, Ngannou, Usman. No, actually the Four Kings. Let's put the Blessy in there. Ngannou, Usman, and Adesanya, the Three Kings, like reigning as champs. Like that felt like that era was lasting forever. It felt like it was like them three weren't going to be stopped, especially Usman and Izzy. And now none of them are champs. Like, and it's I don't know how many times the belts have exchanged hands of the people that took them belts off them as well. So that does kind of prove how good
they were. Yeah.
Yeah, but. Now this era, like I'm loving this Pereira era. Like,
he's so good.
This is the Pereira era. Like John Jones can beat Stipe and call himself the GOAT. Tom Aspinall can beat John Jones. Like in this, I don't care. This is the Pereira era. Like Pereira can get beat in his next fight, then this was just the Pereira era. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like we lived through it, and a lot of people are pointing to he lost to Izzy and he moved up because he was scared to fight him again. Like I've seen that going around. Have you seen that? But I think he was, what was he, mid-30s? He couldn't drain his body to get to 185 anymore. And then everybody knows once your body's drained, your chin goes. So, I mean, he was winning the fight against Izzy, got sloppy on defense and got caught. That's my opinion.
And let's be honest, like, how many middleweights could do that to Alex? Like, I think Izzy's the only one that could have done that to Alex, you know, so it's kind of pointless him staying there because... No offense to Dricus, I just don't see him being able to do anything against Alex. Like Izzy, people might go, "Oh yeah, but he did it against Izzy." That's a different fighter. Izzy's a counter fighter. Alex is a pressure fighter. Like Alex will be attacking him, So it's interesting. I do want to see that fight, but I want to see Dricus go up so Dricus has a bit more weight on him. So then I can go, "Oh yeah, Dricus could grab him and do what he wants." Kind of thing.
I think we'd see Buckley Wonder Boy kind of lunging and he's not a big guy, so he kind of lunges anyway. Even when he's the same, like him and Strickland weren't too far apart in size, and he was lunging at Strickland. So like that's just kind of how he fights. So I think we'd see something similar to that, except Pereira's a killer.
And Pereira's range, like the amount he'd have to like lunge to get into Pereira's aim, like trying that against Pereira's timing, like that's gonna be fun. Like I can actually see him getting caught in the air, flattened out.
So, I mean, we talked a little bit about Pereira, but what was your opinion on the fight against Roundtree? How do you think Roundtree looked?
Roundtree was awesome, man. Like, I did kind of see that coming. Like, I did say in the podcast, I said I can see Roundtree, making it uncomfortable and stuff like that. And he really did. It's just a shame that he's not had 5-round fights because it was very obvious.
You got tired.
Yeah, but again, he wouldn't have been able to keep that pace anyway. Even if he got used to 5 rounds.
The amount of pressure Alex was putting on him, and like you're fighting off your back foot, and Khalil's a guy clearly used to being the pressure guy, leading the charge and kind of dictating where the fight goes, and he couldn't do that against Pereira.
No,
he had his moments though. He had his moments.
He did. He had great moments. One thing I will say is I think the drop is a bit unfair to call it a drop. Like
the spinning back fist.
Yeah, I think so. Where Alex had his back turned.
Yeah, and he kind of came around and hit him.
I felt like that was more of a balance.
Yeah, I mean, Alex was kind of turning and kind of went right into his fist kind of a thing, and he got right back up immediately.
I think he purposely went to duck, and that looked like he got dropped, But maybe I'm just making excuses, but that's the only thing I will say. I thought it was a bit unfair that was considered as Alex being dropped. But I think Khalil earned that.
You get hit by one of the hardest hitting 205-pounders, and you're not going to fall. And then he got right up, he got right up.
That's it. That's why I don't think it was a drop, because he just didn't look like he'd been hurt. Usually when you get dropped, it hurts, and you're a bit like, whoa. No one's that good of an actor. We've seen Alex get hurt. He can't hide it very well. So, yeah, I don't think it was a drop, but Khalil actually earned to have that on his record, if that makes sense. It was one of the best fights I've seen, if I'm honest, in a long, long time.
It was. I mean, obviously, the end, or the round prior, and then the ending round. I don't remember if it was third or fourth or whatever it was, but obviously Roundtree got destroyed. I mean, once Alex kind of settled in and Khalil got a little tired, his face turned to mush. I mean, that was wild.
Yeah, the jab power, the power in Alex's jab, that's what all that damage pretty much was jabs. It's just crazy that
you see the slow-mo video.
Yeah,
where his fist, just his face, ate his fist. It was crazy. The blood just spattered everywhere. Just absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to watch someone who has really good technique, Alex is the one. Alex is the only person in the UFC I can see him translating to boxing, because I don't think his style changes much when it comes to if he has to go into a boxing ring. You know what I mean? I think his stance will change. He'll be a bit more forward facing, but I don't think his style has to change at all, because he will just pressure you and try and land a hook. We know exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah, he's going to try to land a left hook and just beat you to death with a jab. So
yeah, and I think again, similar to Izzy in the middleweight, you just see what difference being precise makes. Not trying to just constantly hurt someone as often as possible, but making sure that when you throw, it is going to land. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the biggest thing from that fight.
Yeah, I think just kind of take it back to a previous episode. That's one of the things that made George St. Pierre one of the greatest of all time. Just precision. He never he didn't have. I mean, he was obviously very well built, but he never had knockout power. But he was just pressure and then precision. Those are the two things that made him one of the greatest of all time. And I think we're gonna have to start talking about Pereira as one of the greatest of all time. If we're not already.
I think we have to already, to be honest. Yeah. It's hard to deny. There's not many two-weight champions. I know he didn't do it at the same time, but there's not many people that have done it anyway, that have won at 2 different weight classes. Off the top of my
defended.
Head, and defended. So that takes Jones out of it. So off the top of my head, DC, I think, managed to do it and defend it.
McGregor never defended.
McGregor never defended. The GSP, I don't think GSP defended.
He never defended the middleweight title, no. Yeah. What about Cejudo?
Yeah, I think he has, but he don't count because he's a fucking prick. No, I'm only joking. I like Cejudo, by the way. But yeah, I think obviously Cejudo, and he's obviously should be in GOAT conversations as well. Like, you know, like
His personality discounts it for me.
That's what I mean. Like, we always forget about him when it comes up. You just forget Cejudo because it's proper annoying. But then when you actually think about what he did, you're like, oh, actually, he is a bit of a GOAT. But yeah, like, I think Cejudo is the only one that can say he's done what Alex has done. And, you know, like I was just saying, a lot of people would put Cejudo as a GOAT. So, yeah, it's pretty hard to argue against. Like,
it's hard. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of an argument against it now, and it's like, yeah, he lost to Izzy, but is that a bad thing? Like, half of that division lost to Izzy. So, you know.
He also beat Izzy, so I was like, multiple times.
I actually think Pereira was the one to kind of weaken Izzy. Like, I don't think Izzy would have got beaten by the guys he got beaten by after Pereira. Like, I think Pereira really, like, damaged Izzy in them first two fights. And
I think he fought scared.
Yeah. And I do think Izzy's been really compromised since, like, with leg kicks and stuff like that. I'm not trying to take anything away from Duplessis or Strickland. Like, they deserve everything as well. But yeah, I do think Pereira, like, proper, like, stopped Izzy's UFC career, essentially, which, again, is quite a special thing when you see the streak Izzy.
Considering how good he was prior to the fights.
I mean, I always say Izzy was my favourite fighter, like, and for me to be waxing lyrical over the guy that took his belt, like, he's got to be good too, you know. So, yeah, Pereira era.
I don't think it's that big of a stretch to say he could go up and compete in the top 5 of heavyweight. Now, could he win? Right. Could he win? I don't know, but I think he would put on really good fights.
I think where he'll struggle is like Curtis Blades,
the wrestlers, the big wrestlers.
No, I don't think wrestlers. I think the ones that can mix it up. And so no, because you got to test your timing against Alex, and these big fat heavyweights, they don't have good timing. Like, they really don't. So do you really want to try and put your head down here against a guy that's really sharp with his knee, or really sharp with his elbow, or really sharp with his... Like, I think you just get knocked out trying to wrestle Alex if you're a big fat heavyweight. Like, I think you have to be a good one, like Curtis Blades, like Aspinall, like Tom Jones. But I started just singing some Welsh stuff.
No, you're good. No, I'm saying, like, you don't think he would put up a good fight against a top 5 heavyweight? Like I said, I don't know that he would win, but I think he could compete.
Oh yeah, he would definitely compete. Yeah, like, I'm trying. Like, so the dude that Tom beat, I forget his name. Sergey Pavlovich.
Pavlovich, yeah.
I think he'll beat him, like, because that'll be a striking match. Like, I think it's whoever lasts
Volkov, first. Like, a lot of the top 10, I think he could beat.
Yeah. So there's a path, but I think he'll struggle at the top 3, essentially, because the top 3 are, like, good at mixing it up. You know, like John Jones, he's a lightweight, and he's a light heavyweight John Jones anyway. So he has. If he's kept his speed, he'll have a similar kind of speed to Alex. But then he has the heavyweight frame now that he can do the wrestling. And but yeah, like Entertainer said, Garn and Pavlich will be tough for Alex. He matches up well with Aspinall. See, I think the total opposite of that. Like that's.
I don't think Garn. I think you can't. Like, Garn he's a kickboxer.
Yeah.
Alex is a better kickboxer, so I don't see that.
Pavlovich
is a slow, big thudding striker. I think.
Yeah, and
Alex
he likes
gets
to
past
counter
him.
Garn, whereas that plays into Alex perfect because Garn likes to counter attack. So Alex will just happily keep pressuring him and kind of set traps, like, so make him think he's going to counter something and put his head in a certain place, and then Pereira will put his hook there. You know what I mean? So, like, it'll be a great fight though, Garn and Pereira.
Yeah, I mean, it's all hypothetical. I think he's settled into 205. I think his body is good with 205, so I don't think he's going to go up. I think he's a little too old to really try to bulk up. I mean, he is in his mid-30s, and for a fighter, you know, that's a little older. So I think 205 is good to go.
Sorry, like, but it's only worth it if you're going for Jones, in it, really.
Yeah, if you're going to go up to fight John Jones, yeah.
Yeah. But
that would be interesting.
Yeah, but the fan in me, I'd love to see him fight Gan, Pavlovich, like the strikers of the heavyweight division. I'd love to see that because I think that would be a cracking fight.
Yeah, I think. I mean, me personally, I've turned into a Pereira fan. So any fight that he's in, I'm going to watch. It's all interesting. It was good, and again, I don't want to disparage Roundtree. I thought he put up a hell of a fight, but Alex is just better.
Yeah. Well, like you tagged me in something about Dana White changing the rankings or how the rankings are getting done. And it is partly because of Roundtree. Roundtree is still at number 8 after that performance. I don't think that performance justifies him being as low as number 8. Like, he should be like 3rd. Like, he's just had a close fight with the champ.
I know, but at the same time, can you say, like, you just lost? Like, how do you move up after a loss? Like,
yeah,
and you got your face smashed in. So, like, it wasn't a decision.
Right, so let's switch to boxing. Dubois lost to Usyk. That helped Dubois. That helped him. That like lifted his profile, and it made people think, well, he did all right against Usyk. So let's not write him off. Let's see how good he is. And look where he is now. He's a world champ. Just beat Anthony Joshua. So
I don't know if he's gonna have the Dubois effect because Dubois is in his 20s and Roundtree's in his late 30s.
And Dubois is like autistic and don't feel anything. No offense to autistic people.
No, but I just think, Roundtree's older, so I mean that getting that much of a beat down, and I don't see how. I guess we'll just have to see his next fight because that could be mentally debilitating for a fighter that late in your career.
Do you know who he's fighting next?
Does he have a fight lined up already?
Well, I've heard they're trying to get Jamal Hill and him.
Well, I heard Yuri is fighting Jamal Hill.
Yeah, I've heard that too. So
they both said they have a fight in January. They both said but there's no confirmation.
Battle, wouldn't it?
I hate Jamal Hill.
One of them.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I just cannot stand him. How did you see
in my recent video? And I tried my best not to hate on him.
I don't like him at all. As a fighter, as a person. Did you see his reaction to the fight?
Yeah,
he pretended to yawn. Oh, I'm so bored.
Yeah,
like what the?
But he don't even know how to yawn properly.
Yeah, what is this? And then, did you see what Pereira said after the post-fight press conference? He's like, "Oh, he must have just woke up from UFC 300." Like, damn, burned his.
Pereira's so quick. Like, Entertain said he's got a very high fight IQ. I think Pereira has a high IQ, man.
Just in general, yeah.
Yeah, he's so clever, and I think he can speak English, I actually think he can speak English. I just think he knows that if he just grunts and speaks, Portuguese, it kind of just adds to the mysticism. Literally, my next video is about Alex Pereira.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm comparing him to a wrestler, from WWF, because after his fight with Roundtree, I watched a documentary on a certain wrestler, and there were so many times where I was like, that's so weird. That's a bit like Alex Pereira. So I was like, you know what, I'm doing a video, and that should be out tomorrow, so hopefully.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
Yeah, but he's so cool, though. Alex, he's clever, but he's like, he has everything you want for a fighter. He's clever, he's good looking, he's scary looking.
Yeah, he has a scare. I was gonna say he's scary.
That's what I mean. He looks like the kind of guy you design in a game.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a monster of a dude, but it's like he's like a game character in the sense that he can have goofy moments and human moments as well. So yeah, he's a clever guy, man. This might as well be the Alex Pereira show because I can talk about him all day at the moment.
Yeah, no, I mean, I wouldn't stop you because it's good content. It's good. I mean, he's a great fighter, so that was awesome. What was your opinion of the co-main event?
Who was the co-main again? You'll have to remind me.
Oh god, well, yeah, that tells you exactly how it was, right? The women's title fight.
No, I'm being serious though. You do have to remind me.
The women's title fight.
Oh, Pena Pennington. Well, I did say it was going to be a smoke break, didn't I? You know what? I'm happy Pena won, because Penya's Penya, but I don't think she deserved it. I think it could have been a draw. Like it was a strange fight. Like Penya looked to be the aggressor, looked to be the one trying to do stuff, but yet she didn't use wrestling, which I thought is weird. If you're gonna fight Pennington, and you're Penya, you're just gonna do a Batista out here and just like sit on her and win the fight that way. So it was strange. I thought, oh, she's lost this. And then when her hand was raised, I was like, oh yeah, I knew she won this. Like, it was a strange one.
Yeah, I thought it was I thought it was a draw. I mean, that was pretty much my opinion. But at the same time, like, Pennington did nothing. Like, like she dropped her. She dropped her that one time.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Entertain. Yeah, no, right now, bad timing. No worries. Yeah. We'd love to have you on. Just FYI.
Yeah, you can always request to come on or whatever. Yeah. Sorry.
No, yeah, you're good. But I think that fight was nothing. Like you said, it was the smoke break fight, and I watched it, and I just kept hoping like something would happen.
Yeah. But do you know what? You know what the true smoke break fight was? The Kayla Harrison one.
That was awful. That was so awful.
Terrible. And like, I don't want her getting anywhere near a title shot. Like, I want her to have to fight a few more times. She's
at least one more.
Her record is 1-1, I think.
2-0. 2-0 in
sorry.
UFC.
Her last 3 fights is 2-1.
Yeah.
Like that's not a title. Like,
she lost the title fight in PFL, and then came over.
And then came over and had one fight before that one. So,
but I'll say this. Like, yeah, for sure. And I think Pena, after she won, she did the best possible thing.
Yeah.
She called out Amanda.
Mm-hmm.
And did you see Amanda responded?
Yeah, Amanda was like, you know what? I'm going to fight whoever wins out of you and Kayla. Basically, I hope Kayla beats you because I don't want that smoke again. Like, you're too much for me. Like,
no, she put out a video. She's like, I'm right here, Dana. I miss you.
Yeah, I know. Like, that's the thing with Pena, though. Like, I'm not trying to say Pena will beat Amanda. But I think Amanda knows that Pena's willing to fight her. Whereas I think Amanda knows that probably Kayla's probably more intimidated because they were trained at the same gym and all that stuff. So, yeah, like, but do you know what? Do you want a good comparison? Kayla is the female Michael Chandler. And this is why I don't like her. She comes in because she comes in the division, right? And she comes into, and then all of a sudden she thinks she can just like
just go big man.
Yeah, just go for a title. Like, similar with Chandler, yeah, he come in, fought Hooker, and then was title. Like, I was like, no, it doesn't work that way. Like, you should. Like, we've got a top 15, which we don't like for a reason. Get into the top 15, you know what I mean? Like, it's so annoying. But then Michael Chandler and Kayla can come in. And get it, you've been in a previous organisation, but they can come in and start throwing the weight around. I don't like it, me. Like, just makes me not like him.
What's your opinion on this dude that's fighting, what is it, the bantamweight title or something like that? He's coming in as a champion from another promotion, no fights in the UFC, and just coming in to fight on his first fight for the title.
I've not seen this. What's his name?
Are you going to make me look it up? Yeah, give me 2 seconds.
Well, I can look it up. Actually, I wouldn't know how to.
What's the bantamweight title holder's name? Damn it.
Is it Pantoja?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, so it's the guy that fought. Are you talking about the guy that's just fought, made his debut against Roy Val?
No, this guy, Asakura.
Yeah. Wait, unless I'm being a bit racist, he's just fought Roy Val, unless it's a different Japanese that's just come in.
No, that was Taira or whatever.
Oh, I'm being a bit racist. Yeah, it was Taira.
Yeah. No, this guy is straight from another promotion and just going right into a title fight.
He's won a few with soccer kicks and stuff like that, hasn't he? Yeah, I have seen him. I didn't know he was going straight into the title fight.
Straight into a title fight. Never been in the UFC. Never
Is he coming from what?
I think so, yeah.
That's the only one that would make sense. Like, because one's like basically the UFC of kind of Asia in a way, isn't it? So that one kind of does make a little bit of sense because you've got the biggest pool in Asia. So if he's got to the top of that, it must be quite good. Like, whereas if it was PFL, I'd be a bit more.
Well, actually, it wasn't one. It was Ryzen.
Ryzen.
R-I-Z-I-N.
Yeah, aren't they Dutch or something? No, I think they are Japanese, aren't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a strange one. I've heard of Ryzen, but I wouldn't say like I've heard of him because everyone's come from there and just smashed it straight away. So yeah, it's a strange one, that.
Yeah, I just think I think that division is so bad. Like they just come on in. Like, somebody please beat this champion. Pantoja is a horrible champion. He's the Raquel Pennington of the men's weight classes.
He is, yeah. And
he's a nobody.
Do you know what? It says a lot about the division that two dudes have to fight 4 times for it to be exciting. You know what I mean? And like, don't get me wrong, those fights were great, but like,
and I mean,
slowly since.
I do like Davis and Figueiredo though, moving up.
Yeah.
I think that was a good move for him. He's looked good, so.
Yeah, Marab wants him next, doesn't he, for the title? Which I wouldn't complain about that. I think Figueiredo coming up as a former champ and he's on a win streak in that division now.
Yeah, he's 1-2 in that division now. So.
Yeah, so if he wants to avoid the Nurmagomedov, like, I think you can with that one. Like, you get away with it.
You think he's trying to just skip over that fight? He doesn't want any of that smoke, huh?
Do you know what? I don't think it's that he doesn't want the smoke, because Marab doesn't strike me as that guy that's like intimidated by people. But I think he just doesn't feel he earned it. Like, when you look at both Aljo and Marab, how long it took either of them to get to the title, like, it was a long road for both of them. So I just feel like he looks like, I think he looked at Sean and thought, nah, you didn't deserve this so quick. And then he don't want another one of that playing out, basically.
Well, I mean, I guess. But, I mean, people get title shots for less, so, like...
Yeah. I won't complain if Nurmagomedov's, like, next up. Like, he looked awesome against Sandhagen. And that's actually why I want O'Malley to fight next, is Sandhagen.
Sandhagen, yeah.
Yeah. Which, that suits O'Malley. He's coming off a loss. Don't fight a guy coming off a loss. Like... That's what you like to do. That's what you defended your belt against, right? A guy who came off a loss. So go and fight Sandhagen. Like, he might be a bit taller than you, so your little mental midget stuff might come out, and you might not back yourself, and you might fight like you did against Marab and just be on the back foot the whole time because you're terrified of a man who's equal to you.
Right.
But go and fight him. Go and prove to us that you're not scared of someone who's as tall as you, because that's all I see it.
Yeah, and we've talked about that before, that complex that he has.
I think that's what's affected him so much after this fight. Like, it's not the fact that he got beat. I think it's the fact that a little guy beat him, because he's always had this thing in his head that no little guy can beat him. And I knew one day it was going to come around, and I couldn't wait for it. And do you know what? It played out in the best way, because a little man just grabbed hold of him and held him down.
Yep, like, ragdolled him.
Well, stronger than him. The little man was stronger than him. The little man made him scared to where he didn't even want to strike with him. You know, so I loved it. Like, that was... I know we complain about Mario Batista and Aldo. But
yeah, we can complain about that here in just a second, for sure. That's a good segue, because that fight sucked. That fight sucked.
After me just raving about someone holding someone down.
But that's the thing. He didn't hold him down. Never once did he get him to the ground. Never once did he put him down. They got separated, and he went right back to humping his leg.
Yeah, because even we were like, the UFC being a bit more strict on how long they hold people now, because I actually like that. But then the next week, we watched Batista just... You know, I don't want to hate on the kid, because you win a fight by the rules, you know, but it's frustrating that it's not his fault, but he shouldn't have won that fight.
No, he should not have won that fight at all.
If that fight was going on forever, like, if it was a real fight and the only way it's ending is by one quitting, I think he would have quit first. I think Aldo would have hurt him, like, eventually, you know, with that method of fighting. It's just holding someone down. Eventually he's going to get free and he's going to crack you. And he did a couple of times. So, to me, Aldo won that on damage and aggression, because you can't say what Batista did was aggressive. It wasn't. It was the total opposite.
But I mean, it's that octagon control, right? Just pressed him up against the cage. That's all he did.
It does need to be sorted out, but then part of me is like, then why don't we just watch Glory? You know what I mean? So it's a balance, but I think referees need to be better at like noticing. Is he actually trying to do something here, or is he just stalling?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, there should be like a time limit, and
the refs should have more
seconds.
power or like impetus to get them separated, and I don't know. I'm not saying deduct points, but like the refs should be like Pride. You know, whenever people in Pride were pushing people together, like fight, like do something or separate them.
They had it perfect in the O'Malley fight. Like if every fight was ref like that, I'd be totally happy because the wrestler could still show that he could do what he wanted and like, but then get separated when it was stalling a bit. And I think that would make so much more sense. Like you just said, like I remember having kickboxing fights when I was a kid, and if we were clinching too much, they'd separate us because we weren't doing that. We were just pushing each other around. And
that's what they do in boxing.
Yeah.
They separate you. They don't let you just hold on to each other. As soon as like a clinch gets initiated, the ref says something. If you don't respond to him saying back off or let go, he comes in and separates you.
Exactly. How the judge is going to judge it, you know, that like I felt sorry for the judges at the end of that fight because technically they should have judged it under the rules to Batista, yeah? Like, they could have. But you could also look at it as aggression and damage and judge it for Aldo. I think no matter what, the judges were going to be wrong. No matter what the decision was.
Somebody was going to be mad about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, good for the kid to have Aldo's name on his resume. Yeah. You know, congratulations. You keep up with that style, I don't think you're going to get very much favor in Dana White's eyes. So,
do you know the irony, right? So after that fight, Sean O'Malley is doing his podcast. Turns out he trains with Batista. He's talking about how great performance it was and how he deserved the win. And I'm like, bro, you were just crying about.
We were just complaining about this.
Yeah, and then the next week he's like, oh yeah, Batista like deserved it because I think they've trained together or Tim Welch trains him. So it's like that's what annoys me with guys like O'Malley and that. Like, it's all right for my mate to do it. But if anyone else does it, it's boring.
If they do it to me, then it's boring. And oh my goodness, that's funny.
So what do you think? Go on, sorry.
No, by all means. I was looking up the fight card because I forgot some of the fights because it's been 2 weeks.
I know, yeah. I haven't. All what I know is it's Topuria and Holloway. I've not really seen who's on the undercard, to be honest. But speaking of recent news, Poirier is coming out saying he wants uno más. He wants one more fight. And he's proposed to Dana White a four-man one-night BMF tournament between him, Gaethje, Hooker, and I don't think he would have said Chandler, but he did say someone else. It might have been Chandler.
Was it damn, yeah. Was it Oliveira?
That was it, Oliveira. Because someone, and I put this on Twitter, someone else added in Nate Diaz and Michael Chandler as like a 6-man one. And I said, nah, fuck that. Keep the 4 and let them fight for another BMF, which could stand for the baddest mongy fucker. I don't know if you know what mongy means.
I don't know what that means, but I can laugh at it.
It's like a term for retarded. So they can fight for the baddest mongy fucker. And they can have their own special BMF.
Right, they'll have a BMF belt that's all like fucked up and stuff. Like.
Yeah, like we can put a spliff on it, like a bit of bong on it, and like for Chandler we can put boot straps and candy asses, whatever they are. Like, you know, I'll just ask ChatGPT, what did American wrestlers say in the 90s? And then I'll just use that as like Michael Chandler's bit. I hate Michael Chandler. Fuck Michael Chandler.
Had to get that one in there.
Yo, bro, I saw a headline, ironically, it was from the video of the Ariel Helwani one, so I didn't get round to it. But the headline was Michael Chandler, and it was like, I blame myself for the Conor McGregor fight falling. And I'm like, stop being this fucking psychopath where everything has to be
about you, right?
And you were the one that was making it. Like, it really annoys me. And like, even now, it's like, no, it wasn't Conor. It was me. It was my fault. Because I'm so important. Like, it only fell down because I decided I didn't want to do it. I wanted to fight Oliveira. Like, no. You knew that.
The Oliveira, the fight was just the right time. I saw him saying that. Like, oh, it was the right fight at the right time and get me back like in the title contention.
It is like the one fight that's winnable because Charles is always a bit funny in the first round. So it is one fight that kind of...
Their first fight was good. I mean, that was a good fight.
No, it was, yeah. Although I hate Michael Chandler, his fights are good to watch. Like, because he loses them. Like, that's what makes it really good. Like, he loses them in really good ways.
And yeah, he looks really good, and then he gets, you know...
It's like, do you know where my hatred really started, though? I'm gonna give you a bit of honesty here. It was when he did that to Tony Ferguson.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Tony, is one of
that front kick.
Ever. Yeah, and when he did that, because Tony was winning. That's what annoys me. Tony was winning. And then he just pulls that out of nowhere. And I think, like, if that didn't happen, Tony might have, like, had a couple of wins and might have retired by now. And, like, you know,
speaking of Tony, did you see what he said?
No.
In typical Tony fashion, he said, "I'm too old to retire. I want to fight 2 more times."
Yeah, like, retired. Too old for that. Too much effort for me. I think I'll do it 2 more times. I love Tony. Like, I hated him when he was...
He's going to have a 10-fight losing streak?
It's horrible, mate. It's so horrible watching how his career is going. Like, it's traumatizing.
It is. He's so delusional. That's the bad part.
Delusional. I thought he could have beat Khabib at one point. Like, I don't know if that's everyone being delusional, like me being delusional, but yeah, that's what frustrates me.
That was a long time ago. You are forgiven.
Well, that's it. And how good he looked at that time. My hair's looking like Donald Trump. I don't know what I've done. But yeah, the way how he looked, so leading up to that Khabib fight, it's like awesome. Like,
we're gonna blame it all on the cable.
Yeah, that's what I blame it on.
Yeah.
To be honest, though, I wouldn't mind that head of hair at his age. Like, if it's his head of hair, I wouldn't mind it, to be fair. So, right, I've got a question.
Yeah.
Who would you put in your 4-man BMF? Let's just say it's an open weight thing. Right, so we don't have to keep all the same weight.
Man, I think Max still has to be in there.
Yeah.
I think you got to keep Max.
See, but my thing is, right, in order to be a BMF, you can't win a title. So I think that takes Max out of it now. Because, like, I've always said, when the first BMF happened, I said, this makes no sense. Like, Usman's the BMF of that division. Like, not Colby. Who was it? Masvidal and...
Masvidal, yeah.
Yeah. And I remember thinking, like, no, they're not close to BMF of the welterweight like Usman was. You know what I mean? So the BMF is basically who's not good enough to win a title. Is my thing, but who's really good to watch. Okay,
that's interesting. So what about interim titles? Where do you draw the line on interim titles? Because like Poirier, he's never won a real title.
Yeah, I think Poirier's circumstances, because he had the interim when Khabib had the title, so he was never going to win that title. No offense, he tried. No. You know what I mean? So yeah, like Poirier makes sense with that interim. I think the only interim that doesn't make sense is Tom's, because that might as well be the championship. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean that's. Are you talking all time or on the current roster, or?
Let's just go current, like, so we're not like digging up people.
Ooh, that's tough, man. Yeah, by all means, because you've put the stipulations on me. I'm on that.
On his day, I think he's a BMF, but people might laugh. Kevin Holland.
Oh yeah.
I think he's a BMF.
Dan Hooker.
Of course, yeah.
I think we have to say that. Which, by the way, since we've started talking about him, he's like been the most popular person in MMA. I don't know if anybody notices that, but
It's like we've done, like same with Chandler. It's like we've put shit out there and it's been changing things. I like it.
Yeah, it's interesting. And you can say, oh, well, you only have 17 followers, but like our videos supremely outweigh our channel. Like more people see our videos than our channel. So
yeah. And for all we know, one of these dudes is in the boardroom, like watching it bored on his break. So, you know, you never know. But it's all right. I say Kevin Holland. You say Dan Hooker.
Yeah.
Which I agree with Dan Hooker.
Just somebody who's just down to scrap, like at any time.
Yeah, that's why I went with Holland, because like he might lose, but
he's down. Like he's there.
Yeah. Thought Cam's out on not even a day's notice, so you know that's some BMF stuff in my opinion.
Yeah. Man, that's not a title holder though.
Yeah, because it could just be all the title holders, isn't it? Like you could just say John Jones. Like John Jones fights like a BMF. If I'm honest, in his prime, he was a fucking ruthless bastard. Like I loved watching him fight because he was so ruthless with it. So you know what I mean? Like all the champs are BMFs at the end of the day.
Right. In that regard, yeah, I can understand what you're saying.
Right, I'm trying to think of.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Another one that's a bit like Kevin Holland, you know, a bit out the box that's not going to be like in the top 5 of everyone's thing. A BMF. You know, it could be a good one. That guy that fought Sean O'Malley, like, I think you spoke about it.
Oh yeah, he fought with him on a few days' notice.
Martinho or Marinho. Yeah. I know it was like a Portuguese Brazilian name.
Chris Martino or whatever.
Yeah, like if he can get his skills up, he could be a BMF. Because like the amount of damage he took, if he can start giving it back, he could definitely be a BMF.
Let's see. I don't know. I mean, that's tough. That's be something I have to think of. But speaking of BMFs, I mean, somebody who could qualify soon, Battle. You see he's fighting again.
Yeah. I like Battle as well. Like, I like his style. I like how he promotes himself. Like, I like... You know what, yeah, he lent a little bit into the wrestling shtick in France, but he doesn't let that overwhelm his personality like Chandler does, you know. Like, yeah, I do like Battle. Like, I enjoyed watching him on Tough as well. Like, I was proper rooting for him on that, so it's nice to see like him get a big fight and stuff like that. So Battle could definitely be up there.
I mean, if he wasn't retired, I would say like Donald Cerrone, obviously.
Nah, fuck him. Fuck Donald Cerrone, mate. You know what? He's not retired. He's just come out of retirement. He's just said.
Well, then he's one of the people who would just fight at any moment. He'd probably lose, but he'd fight.
Because you know why he's tired? So he could go and take a course of steroids, come back and piss clean.
Why do you say that?
Because he said it in an interview, like before he retired.
Oh, really?
He said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to retire. I think it was on some podcast. And he was like, I'm going to retire. I'm going to take a load of testosterone and steroids and TRT, all that stuff. I'm going to get in all the movies. And then I'm going to come back and have a couple more fights. And as soon as he said that, I thought, you cheating little
You've lost. I mean, that's what Conor did.
Yeah, but Conor did it through a leg break. Like, that's a bit more understandable. Like, you need a fucking... And he's not fought since. Like, UFC's not even booked him since. So, we can't even say Conor's done that yet. Whereas Cerrone's actively, like, admitted to doing it. He's not...
Yeah, I hadn't heard that, so I'm not... I wasn't in on that one.
Now, look it up. Honestly, he did say it in an interview. Either just after retired or just before he retired. And, like, in that moment, I was like, nah, fuck you. Like, I just don't like people that do stuff like that. Like, same when Conor comes back, I'll be like, nah, whatever he does now doesn't count.
Okay, so interesting.
Yeah, Dana said
headline
coming back though, innit?
Headline, it said, watch this. 41-year-old Donald Cerrone quits steroids, announces UFC comeback.
Imagine being that privileged that you can say that.
That's... I don't like that.
Cerrone, he's always come across as like some posh American that like whose dad has land and stuff and just lets him do what he wants. Like that's what he comes across to me as.
That's interesting.
Some rich little American who's inherited a lot of money and just does and says what he wants. I don't like him, to be honest.
Man.
Like, I think you could tell.
No, yeah. Now, I mean, that definitely changes my opinion. I didn't know anything about that. I don't know where I was in that bubble, but
blurry, by the way. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. I just said I don't know where I was when that story broke, but damn.
Yeah, it only broke in like either last night or the night before. Like, it was very recent.
Damn.
I can make this clearer. I can't. I think Cerrone's hacking into me. He heard me, man. His dad works for a tech company. His
right,
dad works for Google. He's had enough. But yeah, I don't know, because I think I might have watched something that said he grew up like really privileged and rich, and like his dad was just basically funding his whole life, bought him a gym and all this stuff. And I think as soon as I watched that, I thought, why are you cosplaying as working class cowboy? Like, what are you doing? Like, and I just lost a lot of like respect for him after that. And then, like, I don't know, he's just a bit like racist, and he's just not a nice guy. You know what I mean? So there's other stuff as well.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I guess there's two sides to every fighter. So
you know, I hate more than cowboy after me saying all that.
Michael Chandler.
He's not even racist or anything.
No, I mean, honestly, the 4-man BMF title tournament, that would be so cool. I mean, obviously the UFC would never do it on the same night, just because the brutality would be too much.
It'd be awesome though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be great. That would be so great.
You know what though? After my little rant, I can see Cowboy going there. I'm just personally like, no, he's not a BMF, but you look at his career, he's definitely had a BMF-worthy career, you know what I mean? So
yeah, I mean, he took fights on short notice, stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, it's just too bad he's steroid-using cheat, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's it. Like, you know what? Probably a lot of our favourite fighters, if they were more honest, you know, we might have this opinion, so maybe
if they said just
his own good.
Well, I guess give him credit for that.
Yeah. Oh, do you know who I think could be a BMF? But what's his name now? He's part of the Fighting Nerds, and he fought like the Korean. Oh, what's his name? He knocked out Zhang Liang recently. The Mitch.
Give me 1 second, I'll tell you.
He's Brazilian.
He fought Lee?
Yeah, Zhang
Carlos Paredes?
Yeah, mate, this guy's awesome. He's going to be a future one. Like, you know, he reminds me of Alex Pereira. Like, when you got time, just watch his highlights. He's so similar to Pereira. But I think he's Muay Thai rather than kickboxing, so he's a little bit different. But he has that aggression and that power, like, for his weight, where he just looks like a monster.
See, he fought Neil Magny?
Possibly, yeah. That might be where I first ever saw him against Magny. Because I saw him once, and then I watched him against Leach recently, and then I was just like, oh my god, this guy might be my new favourite fighter.
Let's pull him up here. Carlos Paredes. Okay, so he's fighting Neil Magny. Sorry. His next fight, November 9th, he will be fighting Neil Magny.
Oh, Neil Magny.
I mean, Magny just lost, so he's probably going to win.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? That's what I was going to say. Like, Magny has this thing, though, is like, when you're like, oh, he's definitely going to lose this one. That's usually when he wins. So, yeah, maybe it's Paul Paredes or something at this one, you know.
I mean, he alternates wins and losses. Yeah. So, I mean, he's due for a win. So.
He's like consistently inconsistent, which is good, I suppose.
Let's see. This guy, Michael Morales, just beat Neil Magny. I'm trying to remember.
Oh, yeah.
That fight. Oh, yeah, TKO first round. Oh, okay, yeah, I know who this guy is. All right. Sorry, I just got sidetracked. I'm like, wait, who did Magny lose to? This guy's undefeated. Ecuador, Michael Morales.
Yeah.
17-0.
I think I might have watched that fight as well. As soon as you said Michael Morales, it was like, ding.
Yeah, that was
like,
the
I recognize the name.
Cannonier Barala fight.
Yeah, so yeah, I would have watched that. Yeah, I tell you what, like, there is some good up and comers at the moment. Like,
Thank goodness,
yeah.
man.
It's
just too bad it's not in the heavyweight division.
No, I don't. Do you know what though? I just don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Like, I think it's going to be a long time, like until we get like, like Aspinall, Blades. Like, they're so rare in that division because they're like a bit athletic and stuff. Like, I just see that not happening for a while. Like, I think it's going to be the fat guy division, like the fat middleweight division.
It's just, I just remember, the UFC or the heavyweight division in general was just like the premier. Like,
yeah,
obviously in boxing, like that's where every famous boxer you name was probably a heavyweight. And so like, it's a shame that hasn't translated to MMA.
I know, yeah, but that's probably why though. Because to be honest, like if you're big and you can fight a bit, like you're probably better just focusing on boxing. Like
make more money that way too.
Yeah, like you get out the sport a lot sooner, and you probably make a lot more money just being a sparring partner for a boxer. You know what I mean? So, like I know people that live off being sparring partners. Like that's the whole life. And if you're lucky, you get a boxer, and you're laughing because they can literally fund you, like you're traveling and everything. You know what I mean? So, I think that's what will always hold the heavyweights back in MMA. Like
boxing.
You see a big guy first fought is like Mike Tyson, isn't it? It's not usually Brock Lesnar. It's Mike Tyson. So yeah, it's sad, but. Oh.
No, that's a good shout because, I mean, why not do something less intense if you're one of those big guys? I mean, obviously boxing is endurance sport, whereas MMA is more of a crash. So
yeah, car crash. But so I think that's probably it. It's a shame, but it is fun though as well because then you get like tied to a Vasa. If he was actually, if he went to the gym, he'd be a middleweight. But he hasn't ever been to a gym, so he's just a big fat heavyweight. And you can tell with the skill and everything that he doesn't go to a gym. So, yeah, I think that's the case as well. NFL and NBA take a lot of, potential heavyweight talent as well.
I mean, sure. I just think it's great that we got our obligatory tied to Avasa hate in there, and we didn't even try.
I know, yeah, I didn't even. It's got to be theme in it. I've got to cram in Michael Chandler hate.
Tied to Avasa
hate. I'm all right with just them two. Pereira loving.
The thing is, I try to tag Ty and Chandler and everything just at the off chance would just piss them off enough that one day they'll come on and try to defend themselves.
Do you know what though? I can see Ty coming on, not because he's pissed off, but just because he's Australian and he likes a bit of banter. I think he'll recognise that I'm just being English, if that makes sense. That I'm not hating him, I'm just being funny. You know what I mean? So, Chandler wouldn't see it, but I think Ty could because of his culture. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, just laugh it off as being kind of silly or whatever.
Yeah, he'll treat it like a donut and just let it roll off him, fat bastard. I love you really, Ty.
No, I mean...
how can your mum name you after Ty, which is a fucking really endurance-based sport, and yet you're still a fat fucker? What the fuck's going on there? You're called Ty, and I bet you can't even tie your laces. Your belly gets in the way. But you have to take your shoes off, tie them, and then put your foot in.
Maybe that's why he drinks his beer out of the shoe.
Yeah, because he can't get it on his foot, so he uses it as a cup.
It just made it a thing.
Yeah, like, you know what? I'm gonna go back and like over the next few days, I'm gonna think of how many different ways I can bully Ty for being called Ty and being fat.
Oh, just like a necktie, you know, that it doesn't even have a neck to tie.
Exactly. Ty's so fat, yeah. Ty's so fat that he looks like he's got tires on his belly, and he's that fat that he actually was called Tyre, but he had the R and E. Fat fuck.
But then
Just out here bullying a man that would crush me with his little finger. Like,
yeah, I know, right? So the guy that we invited on actually tried to join, but he said he doesn't have a Rumble account, and it's making him create one, and I guess he doesn't want to create one or whatever. I didn't know you had to have a Rumble account to join.
Well, to be honest, yeah, I think no. I don't think I needed one. Like, I don't think I'm on this through my account, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean,
I hope he's not a fat heavyweight and he's not been watching. That's gonna be awkward, isn't it? Where I'm like, yeah, so what training? Oh, wait, you don't train. You're just one of them boys that can punch people.
Yeah, that's funny. I haven't seen anything that he does, so I mean, I watched parts of his interview with John Anik. I can say that, but I don't know how good he is as a fighter. I mean, 4-1 as an amateur is 4-1 more fights than I have. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's hard to guess with amateurs because like that 4-1, like that one could be like some guy who's on his way to the UFC, you know, and he's just very early in his career. Like, it's very hard with amateurs, especially with MMA, because I don't know like how like structured it is or anything. Like, I don't know much about the amateur MMA scene, if I'm honest.
Yeah, that's something I wanted to talk about, but obviously he's not able to join for whatever reason.
Yeah, I heard he's a Ty Tuivasa fan.
Yeah, probably. He likes Michael Chandler.
Yeah.
He just laces up his bootstraps.
Well, do you know what? I imagine everyone that trains if they're from the USA, I do think they would like Michael Chandler. Like, I reckon, like, listen to Michael Chandler, like, to get like
motivational quotes.
Yeah, like they use his podcast and his TED talks to get going, like to do the runs and all that. I'm being serious. I do reckon most, because I've not met many Americans that don't like Chandler. Like, everyone just seems to from America just automatically love him, and I think that's part of why I push against him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't dislike Michael Chandler. I will say that. I think he's corny, he's douchey, but his fights are always entertaining. So yeah. That's kind of what I like, is the entertaining fighter. But his personality is what rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, see. But you know what though? I have this thing like him. Like, I think I'm a bit racist against Americans, if I'm honest, because him, Bo Nickel, Kayla Harrison, just can't stand him.
Well, I think that's different. Like, I don't know. I haven't been experienced with Bo Nickel enough to formulate an opinion. But with Kayla Harrison, I'm right there with you. She's just like, how can you say like you're that great whenever you come out and put boring shit performance on? And like, I don't know. Like, how can you say like, oh, I'm next in line. I'm the title challenger, blah blah blah, and then
do
that. That's like right. Like, don't get me wrong, Caitlin Vieira is really good. Like, she's a good fighter. But, like, you just laid on top of her and did nothing.
That's it. And, like, Caitlin Vieira is that good. She's shown Kayla that you're in the UFC now. You're not going to walk over me. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to get resistance. And you could see that shocked Kayla. Like, she said it's the first time she ever bled in a fight. So, it goes to show what her fights have been like. You know what I mean? So, like, the fact that no one's must have landed a clean jab on her nose to generate blood. Like, who've you been fighting? You know what I mean? But, with Bo Nickel, what really annoys me about him is like him and Kamzat come about around the same time. He annoys me as well. Kamzat does annoy me as well.
Yeah.
But then Bo Nickel has this like forced rival with him. But yeah, he's done nothing to warrant that rivalry. Like at first, when they first come about, it made sense because they were both like had one fight in the UFC, had similar styles. But since then, Kamzat's actually tested himself. He's actually like fought ranked opponents and former champions, and looks human now. Like now we're like, oh yeah, actually, I think this guy might beat Kamzat because we've seen the human side of him. Whereas Bo Nickel's still fighting fucking bums. Like the last guy he fought got brought in from a different promotion just for that one fight, and it's like, what's the fucking point? But I wouldn't mind if he's just a little bit more like realistic. But he sits there talking like he's a fucking champ already, like he's already on level playing field with people like Kamzat and top 5 contenders, and then he had the audacity to lay out this plan of getting to a title, and it's like, oh, I want 2 more unranked fights, and then I want to fight someone in the top 15, and then someone in the top 10, and then someone in the top 5, and then for a title. It's like, nah, like you're in the UFC, like plans like that don't work. Like who do you think you are?
Yeah, I think his complex and his deal probably has to do with like just how good he is as a wrestler. Like he's like that good. Like, and like Entertain says, he came up through the Contender Series, so like he's the poster boy for that.
Yeah.
So like, I think when you're that good, like you have this complex, like we've been talking about like many times, and he has that psychopath mentality where he's the guy, and nobody else is better than him.
That's what annoys me though, is like he sits there, because I watch a lot of his like podcasts and interviews and stuff, like comes up on my YouTube, and it's just how he sits there like he's already achieved championship. Like he talks down to other fighters that are way above him, like I've done way more than him. Like might have done way more than he might ever do, like already in their career, And that's what annoys me, is like he literally sits there like he's already at the top. And like, I hate the top 15, but you've not even broken into that, like so you're not even got close to breaking into it. So don't even compare yourself to Kamzat, who I'm not a big fan of anyway. I find him annoying as fuck with pulling out all the time and all that.
Yeah.
But at least he's fucking challenged himself. Like, he went life and death with Gilbert Burns, which I don't think is the greatest advertisement for Kamzat, but at least he did it. At least he was willing to do it.
That's top 5 welterweight, at least, yeah.
Yeah, especially at the time as well. And, so it just annoys me, like, because I know full well he's probably going to fight Usman in, like, after Usman's had about another 4 or 5 fights when he's just this broken old man.
In a wheelchair, they just push him out into the octagon.
Yeah, and I know that'll be like the coming out party for Bo Nickel. Like Bo Nickel will just ragdoll him in the first round. I just know that this is how it, like the Sean O'Malley, like the way how they built Sean O'Malley. It's like we're going to favourably build him. But I don't think this will help him, similar to Sean O'Malley. Because once you get to that point where you can't choose who you fight, you're going to come up to someone you don't want to fight. And I'm going to see that in his face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be very telling. I mean, he might win. I mean, I don't know. But I think a lot of these guys, before they get their ego inflates far beyond their talent and far beyond their rankings. Yeah. So, like, it's just like that's one of the things I didn't like about Hamzat whenever he was coming up. It's like, you've beaten nobody. Like, you're undefeated, sure, I get it. But, like, you've beaten nobody. And then, obviously, he had the fight with Gilbert Burns, which I thought he lost. But, like, he took that fight against Kevin Holland and was kind of like a cheap shoot right off the bat. And I'm just like, I don't like him at all. That. Like, Kevin Holland went to go give him glove touch, and he just shot for it immediately. Like, dude, come on. That's shitty.
No, I agree. So. Like, again, like, Kamzat actually is a dick in his actions, like, and how he is. Like, he's quite ruthless as well, to be honest. But, like, Bo talks like that, but doesn't fight like that, which annoys me. Like, that's what annoys me. It's like, it's similar with Kayla Harrison, similar with Mike Chandler, is the whole, like, talking like you've already achieved this thing when you're not there yet. Like, how many people have we seen where we're like, oh, this guy's definitely going to be a champion, and then they just don't reach it. They just, you know, like reality hits or anything can happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, literally anything can happen. That's exactly right.
But am I right in thinking as well, like, if you're like Bo Nickel in the USA, and you go to like a big wrestling college, and you're like one of the best, you're pretty much kind of famous already.
Yeah, I mean, to a degree. Like, if you're in the sphere, you know who Bo Nickel was before he went into the UFC.
Yeah.
Like, if you're familiar with that, like Chael Sonnen was talking about him way before he got into the UFC. Yeah. So if you're in the sphere, you definitely know who Bo Nickel is.
That's what I mean, because I do get that vibe, like he's like the most famous guy in his town, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, he's the man of his village, and you know, now that he's around UFC fighters, it just doesn't seem like that guy to me.
Right, he was the big fish in a small pond, and now that he's in the ocean, he's just a regular old fish.
yeah, it's just like try to think, an albino goldfish at the bottom of the sea that's never seen any light. You know what I mean? So he's not been able to get gold yet. It's just white, lacking.
That's racist.
I know. I can't say nothing, man. Look at me. I'm blending in with my cupboard at the back. You know what I mean? So.
Oh man, I think that's just your phone. But at least we were able to get a podcast in. I mean,
yeah. To be fair, like, looking at me and Bo Nickel, we could be related. Like,
yeah, you're good. I mean, he has his ears kind of stick out more, and
yeah, I just need to like crumple him over a bit, and there we go. Just shave it off.
Right, just shave your head.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But no, like with Bo though, I do want to like him. Like that's the thing. There's like, I can imagine if he got to that title, like it'd be a great run. Like,
I don't know. I feel like he would turn into one of those boring wrestlers. Like right now, he's a little more aggressive because he's coming up, but like, I feel like he's going to be the kind of guy that once he gets a title, he's just going to lay on top of you and use technique to not let you get up.
Yeah, but do you know what I'm waiting for though? And I think Bo might be this. Is like your guy, America's guy. Like, you've not had one really, like where it's like the Mike Tyson effect, where that's the guy that the Americans support. You know what I mean?
I don't know if that's even possible. I'm gonna be 100% honest.
But I want that. I want it. I really want some America that's backed by Americans, because like Sean O'Malley talks like a star and all this. Like a lot of the USA fighters, they don't understand like what it is to be a star, is to be backed by your nation. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Like, a lot of USA guys, they don't get that, where if Sean O'Malley was backed by his nation, he'd be the biggest star in the world. Like, so that's what I want to see. I want a Mike Tyson of MMA, like where everyone loves him from America, and they're like, then it's all us that are like, oh no, he's rubbish, he's this, he's that, you know.
Yeah, I just, because every place is diverse, but because we're so spread out and like it's more localized, like I don't know how to explain what I'm trying to say, but like you ask me where I'm from, I'll say I'm from Florida. You know what I mean? I won't say, like, maybe the second thing I'll say is America, but like, where are you from? Like, it's the state that you're in. I mean,
I get that.
I don't know. It's just, like I think that's how it works.
Because you are a nation, though, I just wish like there was one
that one hero that kind of transcended.
Yeah. Because like, you're such a huge nation. Like, you look at the Russian guys and how supported they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
Just imagine that, but in American, like, so then I would understand all the language that's coming out, like from a selfish perspective, because you're an English talking nation. You know what I mean? So. Like, even like look at New Zealand and Australia with Izzy, Hooker and all them guys. Like, I just wish you guys had something like that. Like, I do, because it would just create a much better rivalry as well. Like,
yeah,
you know
I think in other sports we do have those characters, you know, that are kind of adored and loved by the masses. But MMA, I don't think we've gotten there yet. I think it's just too new. Especially because, like, for us, like in the late 90s, 2000, early 2000s, like it was basically outlawed, right? It was looked at as like this big evil thing. So the politicians made it look horrible. And I think that left like the older generation that imprinted on them that these guys are just out here, prize fighting or whatever. So
yeah. No, I think
maybe in the future.
Yeah, I hope so. Like, because we're only 20, 30 years away from us being the older generation.
Yeah.
So maybe that'll be when it comes in, when like our generation are the old guys, and it's just part of our culture that we're used to. And yeah,
it could be. I mean, if you look at like, if I could interrupt you, I'm sorry. The wrestler, like WWF wrestlers, like from the '90s, right, the early 2000s, like those guys were adored. They were known by every single, like every American knew of these people, right? Even if they didn't follow the sport, they knew who they were, right? They knew the characters. So that happened, this cultural phenomenon in the late 90s, early 2000s with like professional wrestling. So it's possible. Like, I see what you're saying. It is possible because we had these characters before. So maybe it just takes that special someone,
Yeah, like I didn't think of wrestling, but I could have used The Rock and Stone Cold.
That's exactly who I was talking about. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, you do have a point. But maybe like, because I told you my video coming out tomorrow is a blend of UFC and WWE, and maybe because they have merged now, like that might help because the WWE are much more mainstream now, and if they can combine heads, because I mean,
like they actually advertise their stars.
Yeah.
But the UFC doesn't advertise their stars at all.
Oh, so WWE advertises UFC stars?
No. I'm saying the WWE advertises their people, right? They push their people. And so maybe the melding of the minds will allow the UFC to do that, is what I was saying.
Yeah, because that would be awesome. Like, I mean, they did it a bit with Chandler. That's another thing that annoys me. Is the only fighter to go over to WWE since this merger and do anything was Chandler, and nothing's happened.
Yeah, I don't know. It's. I mean, it could happen, but I'm not gonna hold my breath.
Yeah.
So tomorrow's video on Rumble, on YouTube. Where are you going to be uploading that?
Everywhere, yeah. Every video I do now, I just do it to all of them. So I'll do it to Twitter. I mean, I'll do it to TikTok, Rumble, and YouTube.
Very nice.
Yeah, because what's the point in just staying to one when I can like try and get as many? Because I get it. Maybe staying on one might generate more views on the one video, but I just want it to be out there. To be honest, I just want people to see like my creativity and things like that, and just how my mind works.
Cool. Well, I look forward to seeing that, and I will share it across everything. Personally, I've kind of taken a step back from all that kind of stuff right now. I haven't like made anything on my own in a while, so I think I'm going to just keep it low pro and just kind of promote what's going on. And if something strikes me, then I'll take the moment to make a video about it.
So we swapped roles. When we started doing this, you were doing videos every day, and I was like not sure what to do. I was just happy doing this, and now I'm doing videos every day.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this.
Well, I mean, it's comes and goes. Obviously, you know that. So you just gotta. Can you link your channel, Muddy?
Oh yeah.
Can you copy and paste it?
I know, that's what I'm thinking. I think it'll take me off the screen. That's the only issue.
Give me a second. Which Muddy Docs?
Yeah, please.
I got you. Give me a second here.
I mean,
give me a second. Interesting.
Yeah. What do you prefer watching, YouTube or Rumble? Because I've got you covered on either.
I got it right here.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries. Let me just go to
the brand new channel. So the first video on it's like a kind of history video about one of my ancestors, and then there's just another one about Ariel Helwani, I probably am going to focus more on UFC and combat sports on that channel, but it's just going to be like I'm just going to document stuff and put my own twist on it, basically.
All right, so that has been linked. I don't know if that will show up in the Rumble chat, but it is in the YouTube chat.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, and thank you, Entertain, as well. I appreciate that.
Yep, I look forward to looking at that tomorrow. And yeah, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're tired.
Oh, yeah, I am. You know what? I nearly finished editing it.
Nice.
You know what? I might just finish it off before I go to sleep, so I can just upload it tomorrow.
Awesome.
But I'm actually liking it. Like, I recorded the scripts, and I wasn't sure about how it flowed and everything. But now that I've put a few pictures and videos in there in the editing process, I'm like, yeah, this is shaping up all right now.
Nice. Well, I look forward to it. I enjoy the creative process that you're going through.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I like the like dubbing over like the videos and how you kept clipping out like Hawani's laugh. I thought that was good, just to show the psychopath mentality. So good stuff.
Yeah. Do you know what? Yeah. You know what? I wasn't planning on doing nothing like that, but then he just laughed at one point, and I just thought that's such a weaselly like laugh, like that laugh
don't say
kind
that.
of.
It's racist.
Oh no, sorry. It's such a Jewish laugh. No, I'm joking. Let me just say, I'm not anti-Semitic. Like this guy, I can't be if I'm talking to my guy here. Like, unless I'm just weird and talking to people I don't like for some weird reason.
Right.
But yeah. So before I do get, because I imagine I'm gonna get accused of that if it makes its way. I'm definitely not, but I will throw an odd joke in there like I just did then. But yeah, the laugh was very, let's not say weasel, we'll say snaky.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe he doesn't put that on a race or a religion or anything, I don't know. But then again, that's very Christian, isn't it, snaky? So that, yeah,
all right.
They like the snakes. So,
goodness gracious.
I don't know, man. Like, what animal has not been mentioned in a holy scripture? That's what you are.
Hippopotamus.
Yeah, it's a very hippopotamus-like laugh. So I thought that kind of will be a nice way of when I say he's done something shady, it can be the laugh. And then when he does something that's like propping himself up a bit, you can have the, yeah, oh yeah, now I'm holding my phone, yeah, have that. So yeah, like that was unintentional. And then as I was editing it, I was like, yeah, this will be funny. Just
it fits. Yeah. Well, good stuff, man. I look forward to that, like I said, and I will talk to you throughout the week, and we'll get the podcast going next week. Hopefully, Rumble gives us less stuff, and we're not so boomer-like.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But yeah, it's been nice.
Yes, sir.
Like, it was good catching up with you because obviously, excuse me. Obviously, it was a bit of a worry watching from the outside. Like, I literally saw this one map where it was like 20 tornadoes or something all over, and I was just like, that's mad. So yeah, it's been nice catching up with you and to see you all right, and to see Marley's just cracking on and stuff like that. So it's really nice to see that it's not held you back so much and stuff like that. So
no, yeah, he's great. We're doing good. But anybody who wants to take a moment and look at and to donating to disaster relief in Florida, like a lot of people really need help, not just my sister, but like a lot of people need help. So thank you guys. And anything else you want to wrap up before we go?
I just want to repeat that if you can help anyone in Florida, whether it's Side Sister, anyone else that's gone through, not even Florida, like there's a lot of places in the world that are going through a lot of things right now. If you can help anyone in any sense going through anything like that, like do it. Like, trust me, you'll feel better for yourself,
and you'll help the people, and that's more important.
You're helping the people at the same time. So, like, you can't get anything better than that, than feeling better within yourself, knowing that you're better in someone else. Yep. So please, I'll ask you personally to donate to Side's PayPal or his sister's PayPal, anything. just to help her get back on her feet.
I appreciate you saying that, because it wasn't something I was going to bring up personally,
No,
but since it was brought up, if you can, that'd be great. If not, I appreciate you guys watching. That helps give us like a few pennies per live stream. So
that's it. I had a feeling Side wouldn't bring it up, so that's why I did, to be honest, because it's sad to see. Like I live in a country where things like that don't happen, so it's very sad to see. Like I know it sounds psychopathic, but when it happens to someone you know, it kind of hits you a bit worse. Like you know when because I see Side at least once a week now. I see his little son playing about in the background sometimes. So yeah, I don't know where I'm going with that, but yeah, if you can help out. Sorry if I'm ranted a bit.
No, you're good, man. I think that put a nice little bow. If you can, you can. If you can't, then no worries. Just share somebody's story and hopefully pass it on to somebody that can.
Yeah. One last thing. Fuck Michael Chandler.
All right,
See you later, guys. Have a good one.